What's up, my cousins, and welcome back to PUPL. Today we've actually got my co-host with me. Hey, HJAD, how are your exams?
Great, man. They went pretty well for the most part, so I'm quite happy and joyous and grateful and stuff. How are you, Mega Nerd?
Oh, I'm having a blast. Sometimes I'm like playing games and hanging out with friends, and it's like that's fun. And then sometimes I have to do work, and then it's not as fun, you know?
Really? I never would have guessed.
Yeah, that's life for you.
Yeah.
So we haven't actually recorded a new episode together in like 3 weeks or something because there was the anniversary part 2, so that was like pre-recorded, and then you weren't around.
Yeah.
Something like that.
For quite a while.
Yeah, so we've had Lilligant get banned, we've had PUPL start up, we've had another viability rankings update, we've had, yeah, I think that's it, but that's a ton, so you know what? That's plenty. We're just gonna do ladder tour for this talk. There's not the VR updates, like there's nothing really to talk. It was a pretty basic one. We're gonna get to PUPL later, and we've already talked a lot about Lilligan. So this is kind of just gonna be like a ladder tour discussion podcast, if that's what you're into. You haven't watched like any of ladder tour, right? Aside from Rexus Telenet, which you literally just watched 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I didn't even watch that. I just was spamming skip turn the entire time.
Completely understandable. Do you want to start there and work back, or do you want to start round 1 and work up?
Let's do round one. I think chronological order is always better.
Yeah, okay. Right. So round 1, there were a couple of big highlights. Chloe Katut, obviously, that's like Chloe taking it over Katut twice, or like this win plus like the seasonal like almost win is like Chloe looking pretty hot going to PUPL right there. And if you quickly look at the teams, because I know you haven't watched anything.
Okay.
Really interesting stuff. K-Tut bringing like some weird slow Sensu balance game 1, and Chloe has this like weird looking hail offense, and then game 2, Katut brings Hakamo Sun, and Chloe brings an Ursa ring. Like just.
Wait, that's a Sun team.
Oh no, I don't know why I said Sun. I saw Victory Bell Reggie Rock Mesper. I was like, it's Sun. No, he brings Hakamo balance, and Chloe brings an Ursa ring team. So like really off kilter stuff from both players. Real interesting.
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look through here. If I was playing Katut in like that game, I'd immediately assume it's probably Scarf Chan. To be honest,
if you're playing versus K-Tut,
yeah. If I was Chloe playing K-Tut, I would look at K-Tut's team and I would say that's a Scarf Chan right there. If I've ever seen one.
Yeah, because that team's so well. I would expect Scarf Skunk before Scarf Chan, just because.
You think?
Just because Skunk runs Scarf more often than Chan? Like,
fair enough. That's also a good reason.
What would be the assumption made to say there's a Hitmonchan and a Skuntank? The Scarfer is probably Hitmonchan.
Hitmonchan sucks.
Yeah, but like Scarf Hitmonchan isn't better. I don't know. It was really weird. Katut also went hard Sensu into Chloe's Alolan Sandslash for no apparent reason, and Sensu just immediately gets 1v1 by the Spadef Sandslash, and like it's not like Katut needed the Sandslash removed, and that was like super early game 1, and I was really confused and didn't really seem to get much better. Also, the Hitmonchan did 43 to Tangela with a close combat, so I never calced, but I just assumed it was Bandchan. Oh no, he said, never mind. He said it was Banded Hitmonchan in the game chat. I forgot about that detail. I remembered that it was like a banned Hitmonchan thing. Just, I don't know, really, like, I'm not sure what K-Tut was doing for a lot of both games. Like, he dropped the Sensu extremely early for no apparent reason. He tried to knock off a Silvally Fairy multiple times for no apparent reason. Like, just odd shit.
Yeah, the assumption there, I think, is when he was playing versus the Sensus that he was trying to spin block the Lotus Slash, which doesn't sound like the cleverest idea. Like, if I was looking at Chloe's team from like an outsider's perspective, I would think, okay, it's probably Hail offense with a Tangela, and then like Stealth Rock's Lycanroc, and like a Pivotal Valley. Like, that's like it's a really like fast offense style of team. But like some of the sets are a bit different. Like it was.
No, yeah, it was like a Spexaurorus. It was like a Spexaurorus Fat Rock Spin Slash and setup Lycanroc, which to me,
that's kind of cool, to be honest.
To me, I would have gone 50-50 on that. I would have been like, sure, it could be Hail, but it could also just be like an Aurorus and a Sand Slash because they can work well together when it's not like dedicated Hail Sweeper stuff. So I like my mind. Excuse me, my mind does not jump immediately to that. So maybe Keita did, and he was foddering Sensu because his Hail matchup is garbage. Like Sand Slash actually kills everything, or maybe he was trying to spin block. I don't really know, but yeah. Overall, like that game was really just my impression of the set. Like some of this shit was pretty odd.
Yeah, I think this is probably like we talk a lot about how Keita gets like the good matchup a lot of the time. I feel like this is like a really even matchup because if he was CB Chan, technically speaking, if he could pressure the Tangela well enough, he could easily win this game.
Honestly, I didn't even like K-Tut's matchup. Like I think the Hail core was just good versus him. Dodrio pretty good versus, like, just a lot of pressure, but you know. Yeah, we could move on to the next.
Game 2?
Oh, game 2. I was just gonna say the next one. I forgot there's another game as well. I didn't think there was a lot. Yeah, I didn't. Well, yeah, you haven't even watched them, so this the best time to watch something is when you're analyzing it for a bunch of people listening or whatever. That's just pretty optimal. I don't know.
Skipping through it, like I can see what's going on, and what's like striking me personally is that Keita is not really playing for damage, more like pivoting around and not really doing much. Like when Keita gets the momentum, he's getting like a Stealth Rock up or a Spike up. Whereas when Chloe's getting momentum, she's doing like 70-60% something, right?
Yeah, Keita never.
Space of like 10 turns.
Keita kind of killed things incidentally, I think is the best way to put it.
He literally didn't do damage. He couldn't do damage. And
well, he could. I don't think he. It's not like he had nothing to do in this matchup or anything. It's just like kind of nothing happened. He kind of just got his mons chipped, and then they died, and that was just kind of the game. Like I said, just very weird, and I think not where Keita is normally at necessarily, or maybe he is, and this is just what happens when your matchup isn't godlike. But like I don't know, nothing happened this game. He just kind of ended up losing. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that you don't really associate with Keita. It sort of feels like you played turn by turn, like a bit in the mid game where there was like.
Yeah, and that's also not to say that Chloe played bad by any means, because I think Chloe.
No. Yeah, I know, because like you have to have like the intuition to abuse that, right? If you're Chloe, so I think just Chloe, like fundamentally, like just played a bit better than Keita over the course of the series. So just took the 2-0. That's what it looked like to me, at least. Yeah.
So other things that happened, you had wins from like most of the expected people. A lot of the expected wins happened. Rexus over Jonah Go, TJ over Carmen, Ziri over Pancake Mix 97. Most of these people who were like one post people I'd never heard of did not really go anywhere, but Gelbel 3C, who's like, I don't know, I just do not know the guy. He's like 8 messages. He beat Serene Grace, so that's something. And that was literally it. There were a couple of upsets too. Let's see here. So you had Youngster Bill over Lockjaw. I don't know how huge of an upset is. Like, Youngster Bill had a really bad but also good seasonal run, but Lockjaw has also been like really inconsistent, so I'm not that surprised to see him take it over Lockjaw. Youngster Bill also brought the same exact teams that like he always uses, and Lockjaw brought the same exact teams he always uses. and it didn't really seem like there was very much like prep involved. Like game 2, Lockjaw brought the same rain he's been bringing the entire gen. You know what I mean? Like Lockjaw always uses rain at least once. I don't know, weird. That was the other big upset. Oh yeah, Zugaboo beat Pills, although Pills got forum banned, so he wouldn't have been able to complete the tour anyway. Hello? Oh, HJAD muted his mic. I assume he had to like do something in emergency. That's fine. I don't know. The round 1 wasn't the big round. It was like the round before a lot of big things happened. I don't think any of the sets were like that crazy either. Tlennid over Plaz was interesting. I just don't think Plaz was especially prepped. And Tlennid kind of just brought like a basic Guzzstall and won. And then brought like the weird bad Sawsbuck RMT and won again. And I think Plaz was saying Tlennid got lucky, and I don't remember actually thinking Tlennid got that lucky or something like that. But that was like another upset, I guess. I don't know, not a ton. Oh yeah, Shane Gould lost. That was the big thing. Shane Gould lost to Squash. Squash is in semis right now. I can't say I think Squash has played especially amazing in any of his sets, but like it looked like Shane Gould kind of just ended up losing at Squash. And credit where credit's due. Like if you just wait and the other dude loses at you, that's not your fault. But I don't know, just really not a huge amount of analysis can go on round 1, and especially not when I'm just running solo because HJAD just abandons me. That's really cool. So now you're just literally listening to me ramble at nothing. But yeah, not a lot of stuff. Round 2 is kind of where a bunch of names got taken. I guess I'm just moving on. One of the games doesn't have the results up because it was played in round 3. Yeah, okay, I remember what happened. So in round 2, you saw Chloe going out, you saw Ziri going out, you saw Luthier going out to Zugaboo, and Tlennid continuing to take names. So all pretty interesting things. In terms of the actually like more interesting sets, you might notice I'm talking about like half the bracket. That's because the top half of the bracket is really interesting with a lot of big names, and then the bottom half of the bracket, it's not just that the names aren't big. Like, I'm not just kind of skipping over it because Skipcan and Crying Lightning aren't as well known as like Rexus and Chloe, but the games just genuinely like were not very good. And I think, you know, I've earned the right to say judgy things like that, just be annoying, but like on one side of the bracket, you have this super contentious, well-fought thing where Rexus like claws his way to the finals over like Tlennid and Chloe and Jonago, and TJ was the other one, and also in a side with like Ziri and K-Tut and all that. And then on the other side, just a lot of like silly games where some people happen to win without like playing especially well. And if you're hearing that, you're like, damn, I feel like my achievement has been downgraded. I mean, you got the wins, and maybe you just weren't challenged enough to play well, because, you know, to play well, you need to be sufficiently challenged. But there's really not a lot to the bottom part of the bracket, and I can't say I'm especially hyped for finals or anything, just because, like, Rexus is on one side, and the other side you have Squash and Skipcan fighting it out, neither of whom have, like, played very well or been exceptional at all. Only one of whom got, like, a really solid win. Like, Squash beat Shane, which is, hey, that's pretty good. But then he beat Fuma, Hi-Fi, and Zugaboo. That's yikes. And Skipcan has beat SOT, who else? Crying Lightning, and Ominous Draco. Like, that's not a very exceptional repertoire. And yeah, that's Ladder Tour. That's just part of Ladder Tour, but it also means that, like, I'm definitely just going to focus on the games of, like, the more known people that were just better, because the other side just was not very impressive. That's kind of my ramble about Ladder Tour. Hey, Jad, are you back now?
That is Ladder Tour. That's just all I wanted to
Jesus,
say.
I just had to carry that whole thing. What happened?
Things. Hold on one second.
Oh, my fucking God. All right. Chloe versus Rexus. I thought Rex's team was funny because I know HJAD. I want to get through because I know HJAD's gonna absolutely hate Rex's team. It's got a Scyther, it's got a Silvally Ghost. It's just like HJAD would just be like, ew, it's got all this shit on it. I don't like those mons. But I actually thought like this was a relatively fine set played from both sides. Rexus got like a huge bit of momentum for picking up Stone Edge Girder, lowering Chloe's Pom Pom, trying to switch into the Girder. That was huge. He also made really good use of Pursuit Scyther to take out a Metang and a Stoutland. And then Chloe on her side just ended up playing really solidly with like just a very fat team. Like she had a Metang and a Mudsdale and a Lurantis and a Jellicent. And like it's not that easy to play that well with a fat team when you're facing a Specs Drampa and then your Pom Pom gets lured by Stone Edge Girder. But Chloe pretty much made it work and came extremely, extremely close to winning. The only reason Rexus ended up taking it, Chloe's Jellicent would have stalled out Rexus's Lantern and Drampa, but Rexus ended up being Glare on his Specs Drampa, and Glare stopped Jellicent from just spamming Recover because like a full para was just gonna happen. And that was like crazy. I think for something like that to take the game, that's like what the hell? Glare Specs Drampa, so really, really cool game. You back now?
Yeah, I am back. Something I just wanted to add to that game really quick is that Chloe's team is ridiculously slow, but so she played well in the circumstance that was put in front of her, where she's playing offense with a really slow team. Like
yeah, it's like you use something that slow and fat versus Specs Drampa. Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, Specs Drampa Volta, but
yeah.
I think the thing that was more concerning is that the team itself was just a bit doo-doo. That's how I'd
okay, yeah, I don't love Chloe's team. It was slow, it was awkward, but also like I don't think it was matchup that really decided anything. I don't think Rexus had everything to take advantage of it, and I think otherwise the game was played well and was very interesting. Don't get me wrong, I think this team was quite fat. I was just more interested in like, hey, Specs Drampa having Glare is what did the do. That's kind of interesting.
I personally think Specs Drampa with Glare is not necessarily the best set, but I mean it worked.
I know, I agree too. Like, why are you glaring things? You can kill everything. Jellicent is like the one mon you have to glare that you can't just Draco. It's like the only thing, and Draco was literally doing 90%. So I don't know.
Yeah, to me it doesn't make that much sense, but yeah.
Yeah, just interesting stuff, you know. And then game 2.
Dundee's offense.
Yeah, Rexus brought Dundee's offense. I don't know why he brought this back. I don't know. Like, I really have no idea.
It's a good team. It's a good team.
I don't love it in this meta, but both times I've seen him use it, he happened to face like spinners that like teams that were fat and couldn't handle spikes and were super reliant on rapid spinners that got blocked by Spiritomb. Yeah, which is like,
I mean, Spiritomb blocks most of them. To be honest, the only one that doesn't really block that well is like.
Well, yeah, but like as opposed to defoggers or whatever, like specifically teams that A hate spikes and B get like just wadded up by Spiritomb. Like, I think the matchups were just really there for this team that I don't necessarily love. But it was pretty interesting overall. Like Chloe tried, but the matchup was just not there for game 2. Good pick by Rexus though, because Chloe does use a lot of like Sand/Slash balance. Like Chloe's used that team before a decent amount.
Yeah, I feel like Hale is probably a decent pick versus Chloe based on a Hale that's like oriented towards like spikes. So like basically that team, because you have the balance control via the spikes, and then you also have offense with the Hale core. So I think it's probably a good pick, like a good all-rounder to take on Chloe, which is probably why Rexus ended up picking it. But yeah, it was an interesting game. I mean, Chloe, there wasn't much she could do about it. Like the game was pretty much decided after the first 5 to 10 turns. But,
Not just that. I don't know how much Chloe was going to get with that matchup. I just like I don't get me wrong. I don't love that team. I'm gonna make that very clear. But I think that team versus I lose to Spikes unless my Alolan Sandslash can spin, and you're facing Spikes Quillfish plus Spiritomb. That's hard. That is
yeah,
that is a
it's unfortunate.
scary prospect.
Yeah, for sure.
But how much did you hear?
Fairy is basically a Lotus Slash bait as well. So like you're not getting stealth rocks up yourself.
Yeah, yeah, because every time Chloe rocks with Clefairy, Rex's Alolan Sandslash is gonna spin. How much did you hear of what I talked about while you weren't around? Like, were you there? Did you?
The round 2?
Yeah, okay. Like, I moved on to round 2. I also just talked about how like the top half of the bracket is just a lot more interesting. Probably gonna focus more on like those highlight games. And it's not because the names. It's not because the names are recognizable. It's because they were just better games. Because the games because a lot of the games are just so unimpressive.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really wants to see Gel Bell versus Youngster.
I wouldn't mind watching. No, it was Gel Bell versus Rob Jr. I wouldn't mind watching that, but like the set was just not that good. Like I was really. Yeah. I like Ladder Tour. I like how it gives a lot of people the chance to pop out. And don't get me wrong, some people have really popped out. Tlenet, Rexus, solid stuff from them, that kind of stuff. But like a lot of people got here and then just didn't do very well. And even if you're trying really hard, like you can't really stand out that much when the other people you're facing are just like not playing very well or being very exceptional. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna focus on the other dudes. Oops.
Yeah.
I genuinely think 2 of the people in semifinals right now have. Well, I genuinely think like one of the people in semifinals right now has not faced a single good opponent. Maybe he's better than I think, but like there's no way to know that because he's not faced good opponents. So, like, there's just not a lot to watch.
I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you. I don't think you can criticize him for beating.
Exactly. I'm not criticizing him for doing. I'm just saying like that's why I'm not really watching or focusing on the other side. Yeah. Because it just doesn't really work.
Can you imagine just going through every single game? Like, it would just get boring after a while. So, yeah.
But the highlight... I'm saying that's why the highlight games are from, like, the known people. That's all. I'm just explaining. Okay. I have my reasons. TJ versus Ziri. I also, like, this was a weird set. And I feel like if these weren't known people where we could talk about, like, what they normally do, then, like, there might not be a lot to talk about. Like, Ziri just played... so weird game 1, and like I don't know how it was even close because Ziri just made a lot of funky misplays. This was a strange game 1. Like if you watch it, you're gonna be like, Megzar, what the hell? I don't understand anything that's going on at all.
Okay.
Like I don't even know what to say. Like Ziri kind of like he switched in his Specs Jellison trying to catch a double and just got bopped. And then TJ's like Kangaskhan and Mesprit just put in absurd amounts of work. And then the next game Ziri just completely wrecks TJ, who has like this weird ass hail team that like never managed to break anything or do anything strong. And then the game after that, they both bring like really funky shit. Ziri has a Mr. Mime. TJ has this like Rampardos type null team of all things, just like fat pivot, U-turn type null fat pivot plus Rampardos.
Yeah.
And it ends up like working out for him pretty solidly, mostly for the reason that Ziri's team just like I don't know what the game plan was. I don't know what Ziri's team was supposed to do in order to win. Like, it has this...
It seemed like psychic spam to me, to be honest. Like,
but like, what's the plan? Like, you're not really sweeping anything, and then you have this Kabutops, and then you have this Primate, but like, I don't know how they all go together or what they're supposed to do. Like, I think this one is definitely more like we're kind of out of highlights and like, we know these people, so maybe I'm being a little hypocritical, actually. But it was really... Because I feel like the 2 games Ziri lost. He, like, really goddamn lost. Like, I don't know what was going on there at all.
I do like some of Ziri's sets in the game 3, I think, where he had sort of like an angry team. It was just like an angry offense. Like choice banded weak armor Kabu is actually kind of cool if you think about it. Like if you like catch a U-turn.
Yeah, no, I thought Band Kabu was interesting, but I don't know how like what it was supposed to do on this team. But Band Kabu was actually pretty fun. I like Band Kabu.
Yeah, I think you just look at his team overall. It's just sort of like, I don't know. It's like a weird conglomeration of like some fun offense techs, so to speak. Like here I'll have an offense with this, and I'll use this as well, and this, and okay, here's my team. So I don't feel like there's too much synergy there. More than it's just sort of like a bunch of techs slapped together with Glumons. So yeah, there's not really much to say on that game 3 apart from CB Rampardos, the goat.
Yeah.
Even though it did nothing. But
no, it was the pivot mon that got a couple of kills. It's not nothing. But yeah, like just weird.
It's not doing anything special. I mean, like you could put like a pseudo Wuda right there and it did the exact same thing.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair.
Special. But yeah.
Do you want to run up to round 3?
Let's run it up. Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, because I kind of skipped past you. Did you have anything round 2 that you wanted to talk about? I assume not. We're good.
No, the thing with round 2 is just that like it's just so weird in the bracket where you have like all the good players on one side facing, and then you have all the like lesser known people on the other side facing. It's so weird.
I mean that's the defining thing about this ladder tour. Just the seeding happened to go that way. But that did leave with like half.
It's not even a random seeding as well. It's like there's like a formula to it.
Yeah, no, it's not random. It's not random. That's the point. Random probably wouldn't have come up with this. But that did leave us with like 2 interesting quarterfinal sets of Rexus versus TJ and Rob Jr. versus Tlenit. Rexus versus TJ, I remember. Rob Jr. versus Tlenit, I do not. Like Rexus versus TJ, game 1 is like this whole actual. Okay, it's. Here's how I describe game 1. It's like TJ has these cool techs and he sets up these plans and like he has a clear idea of what he wants to do and he almost gets to do it and he comes really close and it doesn't get to. Like he makes cool doubles in order to get his Ghost DMZ Frostlass in on Rexus's Metang, and then it does 94% and doesn't quite kill, and Metang gets to kill off Frostlass with a Meteor Mash. It's like, well, that's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I feel just looking at that game, to be honest, it's more like TJ. He had the idea, and then it's just sort of like the idea didn't work. Like it was he makes a good double switch into Aggron as Rexus goes into his Specs Trampa, and then Aggron only does 88% with Head Smash and gets killed by Fire Blast. Like, well, there goes my Aggron. It's like, damn, that just kind of sucked for him. And after those 2 losses, he ended up losing to Articuno. It's like so close. That a very incomplete game. To be fair to Rexus, though, the Articuno did have a really good matchup versus TJ's team. Like, I honestly don't think, no matter what TJ did, that Articuno wouldn't have ended up winning that game, to be honest.
Yeah, probably. But I don't know. There would have been a chance. And then game 2, Rexus brought the Dundee's offense again, which I think is really more of a semi-stall. Like it's got a Clefairy and a Fat Tomb and a Mudsdale and a Quillfish, and then it has like the Hail stuff. Anyway, he brings the Dundee's offense, which does not actually have a particularly good matchup in my opinion. But TJ kind of like. Well, it's not the worst matchup because Rock's Clefairy is able to rock. Rock's Calm Mind Clefairy is able to rock on both the defoggers. So that's a notable thing. But the team still doesn't necessarily break the absolute best. And then what ended up happening is that TJ, I'm just trying to skip through the game. TJ gets hacked, and like TJ had the game. And I'm trying to skip through just to find what it was because I don't quite remember. But that was a really unfortunate set. Yeah, okay. So Alolan Sandslash like cannot break the Rexus can't break the Quagsire, and then Sandslash flinches with Icicle Crash to put it in range of Sub-Zero Slammer. And I think there was even something more too, like yeah, and then like because of that, the Sandslash ends up being able to switch into Stealth Rock with 1% left instead of being dead, and then it gets to put the Audino into like Spiritomb Pursuit range, and then Audino is like barely out of Spiritomb Pursuit range, and then Spiritomb crits it with Pursuit. It's like, well, that really sucked. Yeah, I unfortunate for TJ because. Yeah, I just remember this game as being, yikes. And he was using our stall team too.
Yeah, I'm just having a look through the game. To be honest, TJ didn't play it badly. I don't think you can say that he did badly. He just got flinched. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be that's like how an offense quotation marks team is going to work, where it's going to put the pressure on you, and then if the win con is there, it's going to take it.
Like, he got flinched and crit.
I'm sure Rexus would be happy to admit that. If he didn't get that flinch, for example, he wouldn't have won the game. But I mean, he did get the flinch. I mean, he played for the 30% chance, so 20% chance. So why not?
That's just how it'd be.
Do be like that.
Tlennet versus Rob Jr. was a set that like I really was interested in and wanted to see because Tlennet's been like one of those people a lot of dudes have been like, yeah, he's up and coming. And then Rob Jr. is like just generic, really good player. So I did want to see it, and I admit I do not remember a single thing about this set going into trying to analyze it for you guys. Tlennet. I think Tlennet picked up really early. I think it was a spec Simisear. I just checked. Like, Simisear did 85 to Mudsdale with Grass Knot. And I think that was a huge surprise. Yeah, like, Grass Knot versus 252-0 Mudsdale is 61 to 72. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a spec Simisear, which is my set, so hell yeah. Picked it up, like, really early, game one, to, like, take a good chunk of momentum and just completely lured the Alolan Raticate counter. And then Rob Jr. didn't win the game when he had the win. And I don't go look at turn like 6. Hang on.
Yeah.
Turn 6, Rob Jr. has an Aromatherapy Lilligant versus a Regirock, and he only quivers once before killing the Regirock, so he can get revenge killed by Primeape. And if he'd quivered twice, like, rocks are up, so the Kuno's not a check. He's quivered twice, so Primeape's not a check. Like, he just won the game, right?
Yeah, no, he did. I mean, if he was Aromatherapy, which he was healed up, wasn't he? So, yeah, he could just click. Unless he was potentially just mono Giga Drain, potentially, maybe. So,
I don't know, but like I remember thinking that's really weird because even if you are,
it's Breakneck Blitz, it's Hyper Beam. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, but like even if you were mono Giga Drain, you'd still want to quiver more because like why would you not want to quiver more? I don't know. Really, really strange because I feel like he just had the win, and he ends up winning the game anyway, like quite solidly. Just I think. Played pretty, like just kind of outplayed Tlennet a little bit with like solid doubles and like having the win con down. But I don't know, that part of the game really interested me. Where like Tlennet had that strong spec Simisear start, which yeah, shout out to my set. And then I don't know, I do not understand.
Neither do I.
Who knows? We can't really ask him. And then the next two games, Tlennet like just brought stall and won.
I mean,
like
yeah, no,
he's brought this stall many times over the course of this tournament, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's like that amazing for stall. I don't think any stall that's only hazard removal is Rapid Spin Claydol can be considered that good of a team because the Spikes teams that pressure Claydol are not uncommon. But he hasn't faced them quite. Like I don't quite understand.
The problem is, from my perspective at least, is that you give every single team that has a Frostlass a win con. Like you give them an out, like by default.
Yeah.
So like with Stall, you want to try and mitigate all like potential offense win cons as possible. And Frostlass in PE right now is a big part of that. But I mean, it works for him. So
for sure, and like
hate.
That's kind of the thing where Rob Jr. is a really good player, but like he's not a PU man. These weren't his teams. So he kind of ended up using two things that like didn't have those great matchups. Didn't have like not even great matchups, but like the matchups were bad. He didn't have the Frostlass. He didn't have anything. Game 2, he couldn't really do anything. Game 3, he couldn't really do anything. Until I just ended up taking a win. Now I remember why I completely forgot about this set because it just wasn't that good. It was like, hey, let me just grab some wins with this stall team that I still do not think is great.
Wasn't there a meme in the PU Discord a long time ago where it was like, who was I think it was Anti was memeing on TJ.
Yeah, it's like when you lose to Wormadam stall.
Yeah, that's exactly what Leonard did right there. When you lose to Litigant stall.
When you lose to Litigant stall. Yeah, I don't know. And now I remember why I forgot about it now. It turns out it wasn't that great of a set. Sorry, guys. But yeah, really interesting. We're like, that's kind of the... And I don't even necessarily disagree with it. I don't think his stall is very good, but if I was going to like face a good player who... let's be real. No matter how good Talent is, I don't think it's unfair to say that like Rob Jr. is the better player. Like, yeah, he's a really good player. So stall is something that can really help overcome that. And if you add to that, like Rob Jr. is like not making his own teams, not necessarily up to the meta to be facing things like Rest Talk, Dragon Tail, Guzzlord, trying to break that. Like that's not an unreasonable pick from him. So
I think, to be honest, to learn it, I think what he might have done is he looked at the matchup game 1 and he probably looked at Rob Jr.'s team and he said, damn dude, if I brought my stall team, I would have completely destroyed this guy. Okay, so it's clear that he's not preparing for my stall in the same way that other people are, you know, where people are just going like six stall breakers on one team, go, versus him, right? Mm-hmm. So he probably brought this game 1 offense team.
It's either that, but like considering the amount of times he brought that semi-stall, I think it's just a comfort pick. To be completely honest, like if you look at Tlenet versus Rexus, for example, he brought that stall twice, game 1 and game 3. Like I think it's just that's what he felt good to use.
It's the when you lose to Wormadam button.
It's the when you lose to Wormadam button. Yeah. So there's only one other set that we should probably be looking at. And that is Rexus versus Tlenet for semifinals. The other semifinals game has not happened yet, Squash versus Skipcan, but yeah, we'll cover like the finals of Ladder 12 when that rolls around. I don't think there's a lot to say here about the games themselves, because basically game 1 was stall versus stall. Game 2 was Fat Balance versus stall that couldn't break stall. And game 3 was stall versus the Dundee's offense semi-stall thing. Like, no, I don't want to analyze that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, like, don't watch game 1. If you have any value for your time in life, I would not suggest watching game 1. Game 2, I wouldn't watch that either, to be honest. It's just stall winning. Game 3 is, I mean... No, don't.
Game 3 is exactly... I didn't even remember that this happened, but Game 3 is exactly what I was talking about. Rexus had Spikes Quillfish plus Spiritomb. And Tlenet's like, oh no, I need Spikes off the field, and I can't break this Spiritomb. What am I going to do? Tlenet got his own Spikes and Rocks with his own Spiritomb. But, like, that didn't help, because... Well, he had a spin blocker, and then he didn't spin block. He instead chose to let Spikes go away just to kill the Sand Slash. That shit I don't get at all. But, like, even if he hadn't done that, like, he was too pressured by Spikes plus Spiritomb. There's nothing to be done, because guess what? That team's just really goddamn flawed.
Yeah, I mean, there's the fundamental issue, I think, with that stall team that's coming through, just in that matchup, because we saw... Rex's struggle versus that team, the stall team that we built, right? where TJ had the Quagsire, and then he also had the Hazard's Control to pressure the Lola Slash, and he only lost the game because of a flinch. So, but this time, when Rex brought the exact same team versus Telenet Storm, because the Hazard's Control isn't as reliable as like an Altaria Articuno core, he just got owned, like epically owned by Facts and Logic.
Yeah, epically owned by Facts and Logic. Sure, that's exactly how I would describe it. And yeah, that's your Untier Talk recap of PU Ladder Tour. Overall, like we said, half the bracket's like, hey, that's cool. Half the bracket's like, eh. Even the bracket that's, hey, that's cool. Like Rex's first Planet, probably could have been a little bit bigger of a thing than just them bringing Stall 3 times. But I don't know what was going through their head, and I'm sure they had some kind of reasoning and intent as to like why they were doing what they did. So, you know, it was a thing that happened. Do you want to just do our fucking gimmick corner now?
Do we have anything else to talk about? Should we talk about the other things that have happened?
What other things?
Lilligan? Well, I mean, I don't know.
People know where we're at on Lilligan.
Yeah, I mean,
you like it. It got banned, and I'm like, I don't agree, but could be worse.
Yes, lads. There's really not much to talk about. I think we should just move on to gimmick corner then.
All right. What do you got for us? Jingle plays in the background.
So basically, I haven't been playing much of the Pokemons recently.
Yeah, you've had
because I've had the finals to be done, which have been finished now. So I can now focus completely on innovating the meta with strong sets TM. But I think I was talking to Dibs the other day actually, and we were talking about Wigglytuff. And we were saying how Wigglytuff has really good bulk and a lot of coverage moves, but it's just sort of never been touched by anybody. I touched it briefly for like 2 seconds in the Aurora's Pyro meta, where you could run sort of like an Assault Vest set, and you could sort of meta check all the special attackers with your coverage moves. So I was running like Assault Vest with Max for Death, a bit of special attack investment, and then like Focus Blast, Thunder, Surf, and like Dazzling Ring, like something ridiculous like that. And to be honest, it worked really well in that function, where it was like a specific Aurora's check. But basically, I think what Dibs tried to do recently, instead of going down the Assault Vest Wigglytuff route, is the a funny set, which is competitive with Work Up and 3 attacks or 2 attacks with Stealth Rock, which is so much fun. Like, it's in my opinion, it's probably the best Wigglytuff set, which isn't saying much, but it's really good at being able to like set up workups and stuff, and then being able to pressure, because normal typing is actually really decent, like defensively, like bulk wise, and you have the fairy type as well, which is also really good. So you can just like work up is pretty free, and then you can
get revenge killed by Stoutland or literally anything, because it's a Wigglytuff.
I mean, sure, yeah, but you have to have the Stoutland in the first. The Stoutland doesn't come in for free. Like, it's not coming in hard on the Wigglytuff and saying, "Hi, I'm thinking frustration now." Like, you have to sack something or pivot it in somewhere.
No, but honestly, like, I never like these mons, because you're already reliant on like being able to set up on something fat and get the kill. And even when you do, it's like specifically to kill one thing. And guess what? You know, we have that. We have banned Aggron or whatever.
Yeah, banned Aggron isn't even that good anymore. Like, it's all about the CB Stout, CB Ramp.
Or sure, CB Ramp.
But yeah, I'm personally speaking, like, I found the set quite fun because I believe the item of choice is Ayapapa, not the not like leftovers or whatever, or life or what is even. I think generally speaking, it's like a solid like. It's really good at like sort of pressuring defogs and like braking. It's nice, and it's typing as well. And I mean, sure, like the Stoutland is like an issue, but I mean, like it's a Wigglytuff. You can't really expect more like from a that type of mod. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying when you say you can't really expect that much out of a Wigglytuff. I don't believe in this one. I'm not seeing anything special or remotely noteworthy here. Like, why would it be Wigglytuff over anything else?
Because Wigglytuff is bulky and it Focus Blasts things, and Focus Blast is a reliable move. Come on, Megs. All right. The first thing that you're taught in Pokemon school. Focus Blast is reliable.
Thanks everyone for listening to another fun week of Untier Talk. We're just gonna blow right past that. But yeah, next week the PPL draft will have happened, so we'll have plenty to talk about there. It's gonna be a bunch of PPL stuff, and that's gonna be fun because isn't that how we started off Untier Talk? Basically, wasn't it like mostly PPL at the beginning?
It was Archeops. The first episode was Archeops, wasn't it?
Well, the first episode was Archeops, but wasn't it PPL like very early? Yeah, no, it was like all.
We did a lot of PPL analysis.
Yeah, we did a lot of PPL analysis extremely early in. Yeah, those 55 minutes, like the early on, most of our episodes were only like 20 minutes or something, which I still wish we could go back to, but then like the first long one we did was the PPL special, and then they were a little short, and then they went up back to like, oh hey, it's all PPL discussion. That's like when we started having these really long ones because there was so much to go over with PPL. So who knows? We'll probably be going back to little chunkier ones, but yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the return of actual new live content, and we'll talk to y'all next week.